Hi, in this section we'll discuss the general structure of the model for purchase price allocation. Purchase price allocation is the process that allows to allocate intangible value among different types of intangible assets in purchase accounting and business combinations. So as a result of the acquisition, the companies have to recognize the intangibles that they just acquired, and they need to value them separately. This model is designed to do just that, and so as you can see currently at the table of content, the model has several areas here. The executive summary really provides the overview of the values and the conclusions. The analysis part of the model is really concentrated in these following sections. It's the business price value analysis, or IRR. It's financial forecast. In this case, customer relationship and non-compete agreements, as well as trade name, are those intangibles that being valued. Assembled workforce and contributor asset charges, those are additional calculations that are required in this model. The latter part of the model has to do with really compilation of the background information. So weighted average cost of capital, guideline public company information, that data is being pulled from the market sources and being assembled on those three tabs. And then historical and a closing balance sheet, that's the financial information for the company that was acquired. We have to note here that all this analysis is done for the acquired entity. It's not done from the standpoint, and no analysis is done here of the acquirer. So this is all very specific to what was acquired. The work on the model actually starts from the back. The first initial stages of the analysis have to do with accumulating client information, and typically that's their financial information. The key pieces of the financial information are the historical financials and closing balance sheet. Closing balance sheet is the balance sheet that the target that was acquired had at the day of the acquisition. So historical financial information, projected financial information, which is really play a role in these two tabs, as you can see, forecast and business enterprise valuation, and then the market data that compiled in those three tabs. The work on the model starts with taking client provided information and putting those Excel spreadsheets, copying those Excel spreadsheets into the Excel model at the very back of the stack of the tabs, and linking the exhibits. All these are client-facing exhibits, so linking appropriate exhibits to that historical financial information provided by the client. Typically what you will see is the historical balance sheet and closing balance sheet is linked to the client information, as well as financial forecast here is linked to the client information, and let's just highlight that for a second. Once those sections are linked, still there is no analysis done. It's just right information is being put into the model. None of the client provided information goes into these actual spreadsheets directly. These are client-facing spreadsheets. They should not contain any information that was provided by the client. And what I mean by that is no Excel no Excel data should be compiled on those tabs outside of the direct presentation that goes towards the client. Again, the financial data has to be linked to the additional tabs and actually the client-specific tabs that are kept in the back of this workbook. So the financial information gets put into the model. The next step is to compile the market information, and market information is really concentrated in these three tabs. So typically we use the Capital IQ template that pulls the data from the market, and then this model and the Capital IQ model, which is a separate file, are formatted both so that the market data from the Capital IQ template can be copied into this model, copied as values without preserving any links or calculations, and that's how that market data gets transported into the model. There are no linking from this model that we're talking about. This final model will not have any links to any outside or any other Excel spreadsheet. Not at the end of the process, not at the beginning of the process should there be any links. So this basic work is done, and now we have 5 spreadsheets completed, which again is pretty basic work here, except for the fact that the formatting is really the key. At every stage of this model development, the model has to be very clean and very streamlined and formatted to the specification. We do not want to wait till the last minute to reformat it correctly. The reason for that is several-fold, and mainly it does significantly increase the quality and the efficiency of the analysis as if the model is formatted correctly. So compiling those spreadsheets are important, and actually providing the basis for the remainder of the model. The next steps in this model become a little more analytical. Assembled workforce is something that can be compiled as well without doing the analysis about the rest of the model, and that's typically done at the initial stages of building the model. Then the next section would be the business enterprise valuation. It's the IRR page, which we have a separate training on, and this IRR page actually does require quite a bit of work, so you certainly have to listen to that separate training. Once the IRR is compiled, the next step would be to actually identify which intangible assets are going to be valued. In order to identify those intangible assets, typically there has to be thorough review of the client information, there has to be client interviews, and then those individual intangible assets or categories of those intangible assets are identified based on regulatory guidance as well as information that was received from the client. Once those intangibles are identified, the executive summary page can be formatted and prepared to work with in the later stages. The following steps are actually not very time consuming. As you can see, so far we haven't done anything about the intangible assets. It's all collecting overall information. Once we identified which intangible assets we'd like to value, we build those models, we build those spreadsheets that help us value those particular intangibles, and let's find a slightly different color here. Once the spreadsheets are compiled, again, a relatively straightforward process. The whole model, we go into the analysis phase where we put everything together and make sure that the logic of overall allocation of the purchase price works relative to the forecast, relative to the discount rates, and relative to the market data. This analysis is typically done primarily on the basis of this spreadsheet. It's weighted average return on assets. I had to mention that in order to compile these pages, a contributor asset charge analysis has to be done as well, and so we're going to highlight it here. So those are the stages, and typically for people who just starting to work with me, I'm asking to really get a very solid grip on the initial stages of the analysis, which have to do, again, let's unhighlight everything. The initial phases have to do with compiling market data and compiling information from the client. This already helps a significant amount in building the overall model. The business enterprise valuation would be the next step of the analysis, very important, and has a lot of details there. So once these phases are done, the model a lot of times could be viewed as 60% complete from that point on. After you listen to this part, I would recommend the IRR training would be the next logical step to continue on this education process. Thank you.